Now it's okay.
Okay, thank you.
So can I start the session?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Go ahead, please. Sharia.
A very warm good evening to all present here. I welcome everyone to the 100th Inter-Society Weekly Webinar Series. Unlike the usual talk sessions, today we have a panel discussion with an eminent group of panelists, Dr. Bindu, Dr. Nisha, Mrs. Meera, Mrs. Jodi, and moderator Dr. M.V. Rajesh. Today's discussion is organized in accordance with the IEEE International Women's Day 2022 and so is focused on Break the Bias theme. I welcome Neha Ann to address the virtual gathering. Neha, please.
Sorry, it's Aditya. Aditya?
Oh, yes. The welcome address will be given by me. Good evening. A warm welcome to all to the Inter-Society Weekly Webinar Series. Today, on the theme IEEE International Women's Day 2022, we are conducting a panel discussion on the importance of breaking the bias. And the inaugural address will be given by the IEEE chairperson and the system manager of PUSAT, Dr. Mini Ulanat. I heartfully welcome Dr. Mini Ulanat to the panel discussion. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank
you. And the moderator will be Dr. M.B. Rajesh sir, who is the chairperson of IEEE KS SPS chapter, Professor C. Changanur. I kindly welcome Dr. M.B. Rajesh sir to the event. Welcome, sir. And the panels were one Dr. Bindu GR, the President the President IEEE CET, and a senior member of IEEE. I welcome ma'am to the event. And the next one is Dr. Nisha Kurivela, the principal of College of Engineering, Kallupara, and a senior member of IEEE. I kindly welcome Dr. Nisha Kurivela ma'am to the event. Welcome, ma'am. And the next one is Mrs. Meera Siddharthan, member of ACM and ex-consultant of TCS. Welcome, ma'am, to the event.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Jodi Ramaswamy, IEEE senior member and cyber security manager of TCS India. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome to the event. And last, I kindly welcome all the delegates and the members to the event. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya. Now, I welcome Ravindranath sir, Chair IEEE Inter-Society Activities Committee, to deliver the introduction to speaker. Sir, please.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the panel discussion, which is conducted as part of the 100th episode. We are crossing the centenary mark of Inter-Society Weekly Webinar Series. Today, instead of the usual webinar, we are organizing this landmark event as a panel discussion consisting of four panelists, 2 from industry and 2 from academia. Dr. Mini Ulanat has kindly consented to render the opening remarks and inaugurate the session. So apart from Dr. Mini Ulanat, we have Dr. M.V. Rajesh, who is the chair of IEEE Civil Class Society chapter, and he's the chairman of IEEE Kochi subsection. He is also the chair of IEEE Civil Class Society Kerala chapter and professor of College of Engineering. I also welcome Dr. M.V. Rajesh to moderate the entire panel discussion. We have 2 panelists from the academia, namely Dr. Bindu GR, who is a senior member of IEEE and professor of electrical and electronics engineering at College of Engineering, Trivandrum. She is that person to talk on such an important topic as break the bias. At the times of the pandemic. Then we also have Dr. Nisha Kurula, who is a senior IEEE member and principal of College of Engineering, Kallupara. She is the second panelist from the academia. And we also have Ms. Meera Siddharthan and Ms. Jodi Ramaswamy, 2 panelists from in the industry. Ms. Jyoti Ramaswamy, as the another speaker mentioned, is Senior Cybersecurity Manager at TCS India, and she was earlier the Secretary of Women in Engineering Activity Group under IEEE Kerala Section. She's a very active member of IEEE, and she's a very active IEEE volunteer. We also have with us Ms. Meera Siddharthan, who's a member of the Association of Committing Missionary and ex-consultant of TCS. So I hope the panel discussion will be highly useful and effective. We'll get a lot of inputs on considering this important topic. This is organized as part of
This is
the
Jyoti here.
celebration.
Just having a doubt that I'm not hearing.
I request Dr. M. Rajesh to take over. Thank you.
Good evening, one and all. Once again, warm welcome to the joint program of the professional bodies.
I'm not hearing.
What? Jyoti, are you trying to speak something? I think you can just disconnect and rejoin.
I think Jyoti says she's not able to hear anything. That's what I understand.
Okay, I think let her rejoin. By the time I request the respected chair of IEEE Kerala Section and the true women in engineering leader, Dr. Mini Ulanat, for the inaugural speech and opening of the panel discussion. I hope by that time Jyoti could resolve the issues and come back. Over to Dr. Mini for the inaugural speech.
Thank you, Rajesh. I hope I'm audible, right?
Yes, yes, you are.
Thank you. So, respected dignitaries and participants who have joined, panelists of the day, IEEE colleagues, Meera, and all the students, a very good evening to all of you. So, I don't want to have a very formal inauguration. So, what I was thinking is during March every year, you know, when you watch your social media, it is flooded with stories of amazing women. So those who helped shaping history, those who won awards, those who made remarkable inventions, etc. And those who continue to break the boundaries and change the world today. So we are so grateful to the attention the Women's History Month and Women's Day is bringing to fight for the gender equality. And that has been there for quite some time. And it is a recognition that gender bias is still existing in society, workplaces, and even subconsciously in many minds. So let us do our work in bridging this gap and bringing out a gender equal world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. A world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive, and where the difference is valued and celebrated. So, with these words, together we can forge for women's equality, and collectively we all can break the bias. With these words, over to you, Rajesh, inaugurating this panel discussion on breaking the bias. And let us see what best we can do. Over to you. Thank you, Rajesh. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Mini. I request the Zoom control volunteers to stop the screen sharing and turn off the mics because some mics are noisy. Other than the panelist and the moderator, for the time being, I think we'll keep silent. And the screen sharing can also be closed for the time being. Rather, we concentrate on the speakers and the panelists. Once again, thank you all the professional bodies for conceiving this great idea of celebrating the Women's Day in this way. And I feel personally as the most luckiest man in this group on this Women's Day of two reasons. One, of course, to moderate this panel discussion with great women leaders on board. Secondly, this is the 100th edition of the mega series of inter-society talk series that Engineer Harindra Lal has started, and now Professor Dr. Ravindranathan is leading with. We are thinking about the Women's Day celebration in a very turbulent period, one of the turbulent periods in the history of mankind. In the Ukraine war on the one side, and a lot of issues related to the COVID instabilities, economic recession, and other tragedies on the other side due to the pandemic. And whatever may be the turbulences and the disturbance in the society, the immediate and first victim are our women and our girl children. Their education, their plans to progress, everything will be affected at the first instant. In this context, that the professional bodies and the women leaders in this professional body, who are more luckier than many of the women across the globe, are thinking about in whatever way we will be able to mentor, help, and convey the good message of uplifting women across the globe. This is because even the United Nations is proposing to meet the Sustainable Development Goals. One prerequisite is gender equality. Of course, to discuss that, we should acknowledge the fact that there are enormous number of biases, hurdles, and struggles in this journey. To discuss this, to share their experience, and to frame some thought process in the policy making, we have an eminent panel of leaders, women leaders for this discussion today. We have Mrs. Jyoti Ramaswamy, who is an IEEE senior member and a cybersecurity manager at TCS. Dr. Bindu GR, professor at College of Engineering, Trivandrum, in the Electrical Engineering Department, and a senior IEEE member. Dr. Nisha Kurivilla, the principal of College of Engineering, Kallupara, and Mrs. Meera Siddharthan, who is a member of ACM, as well as an ex-consultant to TCS. So I'm planning like all the panelists will be invited to have an opening remarks for 2 to 3 minutes. Then in the second round, we will be focusing on each panelist with their particular areas of interest and experience to share their story, which is surely going to be encouraging for all the listeners and others. And in the next level of discussions, we will even try to listen to the audiences and try to not a question answer session, even better and good opinions and add-ons will come in. We will take up all such inputs and try to discuss and probably forward these questions to the panelists according to the nature of the queries or opinions. And in the last round, we will try to have a summary again with all the panelists with 2-3 minutes. So this is the plan for the panel discussion today. I would like to therefore invite Mrs. Jyoti Ramaswamy, who has got long experience in the industrial sector, especially the technology industry, and has got associations with IEEE and other organizations where women in engineering and other concepts are well established. Mrs. Jyoti Ramaswamy, can you please come up with an opening remarks on the topic of discussion today in connection with this International Women's Day? Over to Jyoti. She was facing a technical issue. Then I think I can go to Dr. Bindu. Professor Bindu, can you please then try for the rescue management to open up the discussion with your thought process?
So is the fate that I shall do that, because I was expecting Ms. Jyoti to do some kind of starting and then I can continue with that. So, okay.
Bindu, I will check with her whether she can join on mobile. Can I check with her now?
Yeah, I have just joined from mobile. I think I am in. I'm very sorry. I had some glitches in my laptop.
Go on.
I have not heard anything till now. Please go on.
I think let Jyoti take an initial warm up. By that time, Dr. Bindu can continue, I think.
Yes. No, no. As far as I'm concerned, once it was said that sky is a limit for women. But with all these people like Sunita Williams, Kalpana Chawla already crossing those barriers, you cannot say sky is the limit, the space or outer space and further is the limit. And I don't think that the saying that women can become pilots, women can become CEOs are no longer valid at all, because it's quite natural. We are just a being that is inequivalent to a man. Then the opening lyrics of our, this made me remember the opening lyrics of the, a old hit TV series Star Trek. We said that it is going to go to a place that, yeah, to boldly go where no man has gone before. That was what they said. It's not like that. Man, any woman can do anything that the man can do, but I mean, not anything, not unreachable for women. Anything that man does, it's not unreachable for women. But some certain privileges or things that women can do, it cannot be delegated to man at all. And so nothing stops women from achieving what she wants. She only needs to be self-assured, self-confident, and also competent enough. The only thing that has happened is that men are little forward or little ahead of her, only because women were a bit late in joining the mainstream. So we find that we have to run a little bit, that's all, so as to reach the point where men has reached. And I think the beauty of womanhood is that we can adapt to any situation, any kind of eventuality it comes, we adapt to it much. And that is why we celebrate womanhood. And today we discuss about break the bias. Okay, if bias is considered to be a wall, that wall has already have major cracks in it. It's just a matter of time that it falls down like a Berlin Wall. That's all. It can just vanish forever and ever. That's my opening remarks.
Thank you, Professor Bindu. Of course, let us work together to cross the barriers. I would like to now move on to Mrs. Jyoti Ramaswamy for her opening remarks. She is an industry leader and got sufficiently good experience, especially in technology-related industry, and as a women leader in IEEE and other organizations also. He has got good experience as a women leader. So over to Jyoti for the opening remarks.
Thank you, Professor Rajesh. This is a great privilege to be talking about breaking the bias to this group. So I would like to talk about the career in an industry or a corporate where we will be dealing with so many people, different categories, not only the gender. There is, when we talk about bias, we have to talk about the different categories of people altogether. So this year's theme of International Women's Day, Break the Bias, has come in the right way, because when I talk from the industry perspective, most of the industries have to report their inclusivity percentage, the way they are nurturing women to grow beyond the glass ceiling, the way they are providing support to women in terms of when they require support in terms of maternity benefits or taking care of parents, things and all. So many organizations, especially the multinational organization, the global organization, have come out with policies which say how different levels of people can be supported at their need, and that inclusivity, that the way they are accepting diversity and inclusion, bringing in to remove the bias in a workplace. So like Professor Bindu said, the other category of people started a little late than men, but they are reaching up. They are reaching up fast and quick and stronger. So now I feel the first thing for breaking the bias has to come from our own mind. We should feel that there is nothing stopping us. Being a woman is it cannot be taken as a negative value. It cannot be taken as a challenge, but it has to be taken as a advantage. And we all know about how the brain works, how women can do multitasking, how both the part of the brain works at the same time. So those things have to be used for our advantage, but we have to prove that we deserve to be included, to be given that support that the society, the corporate, the organization that we work for provides us, the family that we are having they are ready to accept our requirements in terms of work-life balance, in terms of balancing the personal and professional life, the growth and professional career, etc. So that is my initial first level of thoughts, Professor Rajesh.
Thank you, Jyoti. It was altogether about inclusive policies across organizations and work places. And to support that, Mr. Narayanan Nair is now informing that the Honorable Kerala High Court is forming to honor the Women's Day also. A bunch of women-only judges to attend cases separately, just to celebrate this inclusive kind of principle. Thank you for sharing that news. Now I would like to move on to Ms. Meera Siddharthan, who has got industrial experience and volunteering experience and has a detailed study on the biases and gender equality thought processes. Meera, can you have your opening remarks on this topic of discussion today?
Sure, Dr. Rajesh. Good evening to all. First of all, I thank you very much to IEEE Kerala Society for giving me this opportunity to have joined this panel in the presence of this esteemed audience. I consider this as a privilege. I would like to say this. I'm glad that International Women's Day, the theme is break the bias, and IEEE Kerala section is also has taken up this theme to discuss, because I consider that acknowledging that there is a bias is the first step towards breaking the bias. So when we say break the bias, we say that after acknowledging that there is a bias. So I consider that it is the first step. So I consider there are four, in my view, there are four major steps. One is this acknowledging that there is a bias. And I think we also have to know the why and how of the bias. Why has this bias set in? Have we been like this as human beings? Have we been like this from the time human beings evolved? Have we been patriarchal like this? And how is this bias playing out in the life of every girl or every woman? So that is, I consider that as the second step. And third step is understanding the extent of the bias, like where do we stand in this biased world right now? What is in this moment of time? And then how do we what are the concrete steps we have to take to break the bias? So that's how I see this. And coming to the first thing, that is why I think acknowledging the bias, acknowledging that there is a bias is very important is of course we have been celebrating International Women's Day for almost a century, or more than a century now. So there is an emphasis given to nurturing women, or speaking up for women. And then every year we find International Women's Day being celebrated, and various programs are being organized, and there are various measures being taken. But still, I think in our everyday work and life parlance, are we acknowledging this bias? I think I will give you give a very small example. Like I happened to come across a quote unquote joke yesterday in the context of International Women's Day. There was a meme being forwarded, or probably it has been it was being circulated in WhatsApp groups and other social media platforms. So it said, "Happy Women's Day to Alexa and Siri, the only two women who listen to men, who obey men." So this was supposed to be a joke. So and so there are many things which are playing out here. So the only two women who obey men. So that means there is an implicit thing that women have to obey men. So that is implicit. That is taken for granted. That's so much taken for granted. And happy, yeah. So that is how it is. So that means, and then it is also playing out like the bias is against men. That is, women are supposed to obey men, but they are not obeying men. So the bias is against men. It is not against women. So that's how many, I would say, anti-women or misogynistic jokes circulate even now when we are talking about. Yes, I agree with Jyoti and Dr. Bindu. There is no limits. It's not, even sky is not the limit. I agree. But then this is how, so when we say break the bias, that means there is a bias. So this is how the bias is playing out. And then there are many other narratives, like this is one, that is, the bias is actually against men, but that is, women are not obeying men, or women are taking away men's place. Like again, that quote unquote that fair-skinned women taking away taking the advantages. So that kind of narrative also, I think it's very widespread in the society, and also in workplaces also. It also. And then there are other narratives like, okay, no, there is no bias. There are no biases. Okay, so I have heard both men and women speaking, saying that, okay, we have not faced any bias, even women. So it's good for them if they have not encountered such biases. That is fine. Then again there is this, it is not the second narrative. One more narrative is, it's not in fact a bias. It's a matter of meritocracy. So that means yeah, women are not as capable of men as men. So, and that's why they are not able to climb the ladders of, say, professional life or many other higher positions. And yet another narrative will be, it's not in fact a bias. Men and women have different roles to perform. Biologically, genetically, they are made differently, and that's why it's not actually a bias. So I think that would be my opening remarks.
Thank you. The bias is there, as well as it is not the obey Raj, but a collaborative model for the life that we should discuss and frame for the future. Thank you, Meera. Now I would like to move on to my colleague and a close friend as well, Dr. Nisha Kurivilla, who is a leader of a higher education institute, a principal of an engineering college. So she has got immense experience as a teacher, head of department, now as the principal. A lot of stories with her, I know. Dr. Nisha, can you have your opening remarks on our topics of discussion today?
Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm indeed happy to share this chance to be a panelist among the dignitaries like Keshav Sami sir and all, because when I started my IEEE journey, initially I started my IEEE journey by hearing the inspirational story of Keshav Sami sir, how he was remarking about College of Engineering, Chengalpattu and all. And that's the reason, then I'll say equality is there in IEEE. In my journey all through IEEE, I found that equality is there. But equality is not there everywhere. If somebody asks me that, are you providing equality to your boy student as well as girl students equally? Or are you providing equality to your boy child and a girl child equally? I should say I am not giving. Because I am compelling my girl students to leave the campus at 6 o'clock, saying that they should be protected. But while at the same time, I'm allowing my boy students to be there in the campus till to the 9 for playing and enjoying their life. If it comes to my personal life, I'll allow my boys to go out of the home till 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. But I'll take my girl along with me, saying that it's a protection factor. But when I looked on back, I was so blessed to get a parent who gave me almost equal chance, like a boy and a girl, because we have got 3 kids in my home. One is a nurse, myself is an engineer, and another one is an MBA person. And my father says, if my father says like this, then immediately people will ask, oh, your girl will be a nurse, and your boys will be an MBA person and engineer. Then my father said, no, my girl is engineer, my boy is nurse. And such a gender equality my father has provided to us. But because of the various security reasons, I couldn't provide that equality to my child. I'm really hesitant to say that. Even the campus, if we put up a evening program, immediately the staffs will come up. No, it's a security problem is there for the girls. I was lucky to study under a professor where we have got some 1,000+ boys and only 18 girls. My principal held back the college festival, saying that the girls from the ladies hostel didn't come up. Such a wonderful principal we had, yes, Sami sir. He's an ex-alumni of IIT Madras. And but unknowingly, the gender bias is there. It's there in our heart. I first confess that. But how can we eradicate that? That eradication is only possible by ladies, because ladies are grooming the male personalities as a mother. Naturally, first of all, we should teach our son to make others feel comfortable along with them. They should share 50% share of duties, all such things equally with the girl child. Yes, I'm doing it, I do agree, but still it is not, I couldn't complete the task. In a similar way, long back we were only 18 girls in an engineering college. Right now, the girl share is much higher, 60% of the girls. And somehow people think that the girls think that attaining equality means something else. I don't know. Nowadays, it's really difficult. I don't know. Many times, I think most of the people are from industry. Many times in college nowadays, we are facing problems to control the girls, not the boys. In the early days, we used to find the problem with the boys, not with the girls. So if you see a gender equality, people are trying to cross that border by doing something extra. There's no need of that. There is no need of that, I say. First of all, like women in engineering, the structure of women in engineering. First of all, when I started working with the Jyoti Ramasamy ma'am, I never saw her in person, but I worked with her. When I heard first women in engineering through Seenu Crispin, I thought that it's a committee composing only of girls, not of boys. When I went through the structure, I really got fascinated. It's a cluster which contains boys as well as girls. Yes, we do require such a thing, because we are not that powerful like a man to operate something, because most of the tools which are manufactured for the men, not for the ladies. Most of the, we can say, toys or the utensils are manufactured for the girl ladies, and the spanners and other things are made for the boys, because we all know that. Then the thing is, I do believe that as others said that there is no limit for a girl. I'm very happy to say that Rajesh also give always a gender equality domain for me as a person. He always shares our view, and but still it is existing. What's my opinion is, ladies can play a pivotal role as a mother, as a teacher, where they should what we call the inculcate culture among the boy child, saying that 50% of the job in the household, as well as 50% of the whatever be the things which we are sharing, that should be done by the men and 50% by the men. Nowadays, I find that some of my cousins, they felt very happy with them. some of their cousins, when I asked the name of the child, I found that the child name is immediately following up with the mother's name as her father's name. Because my name has got the only Nisha Kurula. There is no Akama is there in my name. Akama is my mother. But my cousin's child, I was very happy. He's a boy child, and the name composed of both mother and parent. Then I said, how are you taking care? Both of them are working in IT. How are you taking care of the kids? They said that this is the way, 50-50%. So they all shares everything. Nowadays, our kids are smarter. Yeah, as Bindu ma'am told that already that wall is almost broken. In very near future, it is going to fade away. Like hope, and we can even find that one from the cluster participants. If we make the analysis of cluster participants, more than 60% are male, because 7 o'clock is time for making our night food. That's how can we say that genericality is there? Genericality is not there, but we are trying. But as a girl, I never lost any opportunities except one. Once I went for a BSF Border Security Force interview. I got a call through employment exchange. I cleared the test, I cleared the interview, but they said that they can't give a permission to a lady for that job. They never expected that lady entries will be coming for that particular job. Somehow I reached over there, I wrote the test, I cleared it, and I was very happy seeing big officials. First time I was in the army cantonment area. I was very happy. I thought I'll get this job. And they conducted the interview. They gave me a big shake hand. After everything, they said that, okay, you are qualified, but we can't take you. You are supposed to work in extreme climates in Rajasthan and Kashmir, so we can't take you. That's the only opportunity in my life I lost being a lady. So first of all, I'll be thankful to my male counterpart, especially my father, my husband, my kids, for helping me to celebrate my life as a lady. So for all the gents, all our elderly dignitaries are sitting as participants, I can confess one thing. In our society, until and unless supportive husband, there's a supportive father, there's a supportive male child, a girl or a lady never will get equality. By luck, I got it. I got good friends like Rajesh. And Rajesh also knows that many of the ladies in our community won't openly speak out their opinion, because immediately people will say that, she is outspoken. She should not be permitted into our community like that. It's still there. I do believe that. But fortunately, I got a good chance in IEEE also. I think IEEE, the composition of the IEEE is the right thing. I think since it's a international thing, it's coming. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Rajesh,
Doctor.
Shall I pick up from where Dr. Anu Kuruvula,
Yeah, I'm coming. 1 minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Nisha, for sounding like a principal at times, like a mother at times, and a revolutionary leader at times. Thank you. That introductory notes were good. Definitely, I am going to Dr. Bindu, because she is also a professor and a teacher who is engaging with education, and some of these thought processes that Nisha has also, shared. Dr. Bindu, continue the story.
Yeah, Dr. Rajesh, I just wanted to pick up from where she stopped. Like, she was saying about having difficulty in coordinating some kind of functions at night, because the girl students will not be able to participate well, or maybe the protection of the girl student is in question. Okay. My view is like, we had a movement in our college that started from CET actually, that was called as Break the Curfew movement, which means the girls actually wanted their ladies, actually it was like this, the men's hostel, the boys were allowed to come back to the men's hostel by 9:30. Whereas, though it is difficult to enforce it, okay, but the time was fixed as 9:30, whereas for ladies hostel it was 6:30. So the girls pointed out that there is a difference. It's like a curfew for us. We are not able to, aren't we studying the same college? Aren't we supposed to go to the library for the, in the same library which works until 9:30? Aren't we? So how come you are prohibiting us to go to the library from 6:30 to 9:30? And they won the strike, okay. And the bias in that case was broken. And another thing is that protection from whom? From whom? Protection has to be, you know, it should be in some way imbibed in us. You know, the women, of course, women are to be protected, but then the same family, when they go to America, they let their girl child go out to the in the midnight also. You should remember, America is a place where more gunfire or more drugs or more of these dangerous environment is there, not in Kerala. Still, we are hesitant to send our girl child out. Whereas the same family, when we go to the same Malayali family, when we go to America or some other states abroad, countries abroad, we do have no hesitation at all. So who has to change? You know, that is one thing. And but the change that she was speaking about, it has, I'm so positive about it, Dr. Rajesh, because there, of course, there are changes coming in. The change may not be in the speed that we expect it to be. From a college where there were rarely some, I mean, my own teacher, Gomadi teacher, was the first graduate, engineering graduate from College of Engineering Trivandrum. You can imagine the struggle that she would have gone through. But then hats off to her. And then now it's a situation where you have lots of girls over there. There was a situation when I got admission to engineering college. My grandfather, who was not so happy to send my mother to a professional course, was okay with it, because by then the society has changed. There is no such bias. But in engineering college, that was, the change was a little bit retarded, in the sense that all the girls had to go to one waiting room in a long, and we had to stand in a long queue. And the dress code in the lab, it was like you have to wear pants and shirt, and the general public used to look at us in a weird manner. Who is that girl who is wearing pants and shirt? And then some of my friends used to bring this dress to the college, and only during the lab hours they used to wear this. And again they went back to the churidar or sari and then went back. But now, do you think that is a problem? Jeans and shirt, tops are just common among girls. That's no such inequality there.
Correct.
And you cannot afford to have such biases, because you are no longer a local citizen. You are a global citizen. You are collaborating with foreign universities, with so many things coming up in the research, etc. So even if we try to, in some way, try to make the girl students, if you want the girl students go inside by 6:30, it is not going to be, it's not going to happen, because they are. It's a positive thing. They are going to come out. But the change may not be sudden. That's what I felt when
Yes.
Nisha Kurila madam was speaking.
Yeah, change is the one thing which don't have any change, right? Okay, it is the phase is a little slow at times, but it is happening, fortunately. Thank you very much for that. Okay, we are discussing about the gender neutral uniform, and at the same time the dress code and controversies over uniform. So many things. Situation looks sometimes very complex as well. Even though we are saying that we are moving forward, at times we are moving side by also. I don't know. We have to think into that. Jyoti, can you continue? In whatever ways, in the technological education, because we are all engineering professionals, majority of us sitting here, as an engineering professional, what do you think about the engineering education that Dr. Bindu said, the generation gap? She has got the very good, positive permission from the grandfather. Like the changes are happening. So what do you think, or whatever way the professional education and career is going to contribute in the gender equality fight in a general sense? Please unmute and start. Jyoti, over to Jyoti. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So if I talk about that, when I studied engineering, there were, in our class of 50, we were 6 girls, right? But if we go to an engineering college today, we have around roughly 50% girls in all the disciplines. Like I am coming back to what Nisha ma'am said, we were thinking that mechanical and some of the disciplines were not suitable for girls. They will not be able to manage certain things and things like that. And also during the time that I was studying, girls also were not very comfortable or confident to study in a class or in a batch where there were very few girls. They were not happy to join branches like mechanical and all, because it was more boys dominated classes. But things have changed over the time. Now what we have to do is we have to equip both our daughters and sons, right, to accept this inclusiveness, accept this, break the bias. Many a time when we talk, we feel that girls have to do something, women have to do something. We are not talking about the other side of it. Like some time back, I saw a video of a speech, which was a speech in United Nations on breaking the bias. So the speaker, who was a young lady, maybe early 20s, she said the need is for the he to become a she. So the he has to understand, empathize, and accept the she. Just like Ardhanarishwaran that we talk about in our mythology. So it has to be accepted, and the powers, the abilities, all these opportunities, it should be taken up in a complementary fashion. Again, coming back to what Bindu ma'am was saying, when we talk about curfew and all, see, girls are saying that, yes, we want to stay back late. But what we have to understand is you should have the courage to stay back late and come alone through an area which is deserted, when there is less light and all. So we have to ensure that our children are taught to behave in a courageous manner, and they have to be taught some certain things like karate or some arts or some capabilities they should get, with which the courage increases, with which they can stand up and say that in what way I am behind, in what way you are setting up this bias against me. So it will not happen just by everybody else helping. We have to, again, I'm coming back to the same point. We have to do it. We have to equip ourselves with the knowledge, with the skill, with the physical strength, with the courage that is required to come out of this bias.
Thank you. Definitely the he can join the she with a very strong yes, right? It's very much possible, I think. And it's not the karate, probably. The holistic change in mindset will equip our girl students to walk around and come at home very safely. Continuing this, Meera is concerned about biases and some of the recent trends in that particular topic of biases in the society. Even though technologically and in many other ways we are saying that we are an advanced and progress society, biases are still around the corner. Meera, what do you think about that? And what can be some tools to address this bias? Definitely as a joint venture, not as an individual assignment of the women. Meera, please.
Yeah, sure, Dr. Rajesh. Before going into the current trends, I would like to pick up from that he becoming she. A very brief thing. That is, I just wanted to like explore and throw some light or talk about like has it been like this? That is like we are talking about he becoming she. So that is because this is a patriarchal world, and that's why we think that he has to understand the she perspective also. But then has it been like this? Many anthropological studies, historical studies say that no, it has not been like that. Many prehistoric tribes have been matrilineal and non-patriarchal, if not matriarchal. Some of them were matriarchal as well. So that means matriarchal means women dominating men, because it was a clan system, tribal system, and that's how tribals were. And even we can see even tribal population, tribe like Khasi tribe in Manipur in India is a matriarchal or non-patriarchal tribe even today. So that's how human beings evolved. It is not like the world was not always patriarchal. But then what happened when we moved from the hunter-gatherer communities, when we moved to agrarian, then we became more settled, and then women were more tied to the land. Even then it was not so much patriarchal. Men used to go for hunting and like rearing animals and all, but then and women were tied with animals and land. And as we domesticated animals, and then slavery, we even there was a period of slavery also. The surplus wealth there was a creation of surplus wealth, and then the surplus wealth and the notion of property, individual property, and all these came into being. And that's when this thought of having that is the patrilineal or patriarchal system, that is a man's property. That is, when we have individual private property, then the property has to go to our children. So when that concept came in, that is when this monogamous system and the patriarchal system set in. So we were not matriarchal and patriarchal. So that means we still have hope. We can still hope that we can go back to that system. That is, in the sense that it's not that we are going back to the tribal system or the clan system, but then it is not always it is not a natural thing. That is, patriarchy is not a natural thing. We don't have to be settled with that. So and then it is only around 3,500 year old. So once this set in, and I would say that organized religions also played a large role in establishing or sealing that deal that with patriarchy. And as you rightly said, we have been seeing that about what women has to wear. Religions control everything about women, what women has to wear, how women have to behave, everything. So that is how historically it evolved. And then if we look at the life of a woman, and I think somebody was saying about like this curfew and being protective and all. So this discrimination starts even before a girl child is born, at least in countries like India. Probably we may not see that in urban centers and in states like Kerala so much, but then it's so much prevalent in rural India. And though it's banned by law, that is sex determination and female infanticide is banned by law, it still happens. So that means the discrimination starts even when a girl child is born. And then as Jyoti and Dr. Bindu were saying here, that is, we're being protective about the girl children, thinking about their safety. But then what we are not doing is trying to make our spaces safe. Why don't we yes, of course, we have to encourage women to come out and be courageous and all, but then we also have to have safe spaces, both for men and women, and also like change that mindset in men also. Like that is when we have this when he has to become she. So we have to have that mindset change. So instead of doing that, what we are doing is we are controlling the women. That's a very easiest thing to do. We control women and we try to protect the women in the name of protection. We control them, and then we don't allow them to continue their passion, pursue their passions, education, career, interests. So we are denying most of the means and opportunities to women in the name of protection. So that's what has been happening. So coming to the current trends, probably I would say that we have come a long way, but then we still have a very long way to go. If you look at the Global Gender Gap report of 2021 of the World Economic Forum, it says that it will take 135.6 years to close the global gender gap. So many countries are in different states. Everyone is not in the same state. There are almost all these Scandinavian countries, like Nordic countries, which have all closed the gap to a very large extent, more than 70% or 80%. But then there are many countries like Afghanistan, which has a gender gap like closed only till around 40% or 42%. So the gap is very wide. So this is the estimated time given by the the World Economic Forum. And again, about Dr. Bindu was saying about more women coming. I think Jyoti was also saying that more girls coming into engineering. Yes, there are the women. The percentage of women is more in STEM education areas, and I think it's more than 50%. But when it comes to paid work, the percentage, the number of women going to paid work is very less, and that is paid and also full-time work. So unpaid work. So then we have to talk about the unpaid work done by the women also. So 75% or women do almost 3 times unpaid work than men do. So that is what takes a lot of women's energy and time. So because of that, because of the burden of unpaid women also have to settle for part-time work and poorly paid work. If you look at part-time work, I think more than 60%, more than 70% of the part-time employees are women. Similarly, women, when it comes to poorly paid works, paid jobs, women have to settle for poorly paid jobs because of this other commitments, other responsibilities of.
And for the same kind of job, also sometimes women are less
paid.
Yes,
that is about the wage gap, gender wage. The wage, there is a wage gap. So there is an unequal pay and also wage gap. So I was amazed, or I was surprised to see that even in tech giants like Google, there is a gender pay gap. It says that there is a systemic compensation disparities against women pretty much across the entire workforce in Google. This is a finding by US Labor Department in the year 2017. And when they are trying to understand more about that, Google is not ready to share the data about this. So I was very surprised to see this data.
That is really surprising. Probably other than in governments, it's happening around, I think.
And it's I think in every other industry like construction and even media, entertainment, it's very prevalent. For the same work that women do, they're paid less.
Yeah, that is really a point to ponder, because it is not only just gross enrollment ratio or literacy program, but at the work site also we have seen that these balancing is properly met. So that is definitely a goal across the bias. And I think in Kerala we have a good practice of matriarchy system even in Kshatriya communities or even Nair communities and many other places. But by rule itself,
more matrilineal than matriarchal, I would say.
Correct.
It's matrilineal. It's not matriarchal.
Correct. And in many places of the world also it was like that. The ownership of the property and the wealth were with women only. But later it has changed by rule itself. But with the cases of, say, Mary Roy and others, some kind of changes happened in between. Now with the Mutalak and other kind of rules by the government of India, again, situations are changing. Okay, politics aside, things are changing.
Things are changing, but we have to still go a long way.
Yeah, exactly. So that is the general picture. And of course, at the same time, we are discussing on the uniform, then what I should say, the burqa, a lot of things are happening around the other way also. Dr. Nisha, what do you think, in whatever way, as a teacher, mother, and mentor, you think that education as a whole is going to help us with the scenario to move forward. What is your thought process in that?
Current need of time is financial independence. Usually nowadays, the girls are getting equal opportunities for their educational sector opportunities, job sectors and government job sectors, they are getting equal opportunities. They are equally paid along with men. Surprisingly, I heard that in some of the sectors, in the private sectors, the girls are not equally paid as gen counterpart. It's the first time I'm hearing that. I thought at least the most, what we call the respectable jobs, that's IT jobs, the girls are equally treated along with men. That was my notion. First time we hear that. But here nowadays we are facing financial independence is one of the important things that should be imposed into our society. And second thing is the girls should be having courage to say some no's, no to dowry, no to many things. But still, the ladies, they are looking down for the fortunes. Because right now the panelists are from the elite community or what we call the blessed community, from the cream community, from the ladies' side. But if you look down to the ordinary ladies around, staying around in our village, most of them, more than 90% of them are not having financial independence.
Correct.
It's one of the reasons why they are getting tortured. And recently in media, we are hearing that Havana's case. We all think that what we call the men are men who things beyond the borders are working in film industry. But those girls, they are really struggling to showcase their footprints in the film industry. Nowadays, we are hearing that news. But luckily, the engineers, teachers, or etc. are lucky to have their space in the world as a human being. But what Rajesh told is, his teacher can of course do a lot. Teacher can of course do a lot. She can tell the girls to raise their voice against the odds, to give them an equal opportunity along with the male counterpart. But of course, that protection of the girl child is one of the important things, because our villages or our areas are not as developed as America for the girl child protection reasons. It's not developed. I do not believe in that at all. Because if you go to Bangalore and all, we are free to move around because nobody knows us, and that's why people are moving around. But if you come down to our normal villages, like what the ma'am told, Bindu ma'am told, that they'll pack their pants and shirt on a packet and come down to so-called the college and then changes. Yesterday I saw such a scene when I went for the shopping. A mother, a sari-clad lady with a big bindi on her forehead. She was selecting the dresses for the girl child. And the lady was telling, dear, you can wear all these things when you go to the college, not here. It's a sleeveless top and other things. Still, our society is like that. Only ladies can make changes in this domain, not the gents.
Correct.
First of all, ladies should say no to dowry. Ladies should teach younger kids with a sense of equality. Correct. A lady teacher should provide equal. Many times I'll ask, in my college, from last 30 years, I'm working in teaching domain. Till this date, I never found a lady chairman in an engineering college.
Oh, really? Okay.
How many of you saw a lady chairman in an engineering college? There's a vice chair position reserved for a lady. Reserved for, why can't we keep that vice chair position for a man? Vice chair means lady, chair means man. So immediately.
Okay, definitely we should at least work with KTU to bring in a change in that at least.
That's not because of that, Rajesh. It is because of the
mindset.
Exactly, we can say that mode in which most of the ladies, the blessed ladies, or a elite group of ladies, they are getting a chance to grow. But the ma'am told, Bindu ma'am, I'm coming from IIT, can't go. Where the boys can come to the ladies hostel till tonight 12 o'clock. That freedom is there in IIT Kanpur. It's open. Only restriction is you should keep your door open. Till to 80s, the round the clock boys can come to the ladies hostel. But once somewhere in 90s, some lady got killed. That's why they put up a restriction that up to night 12 o'clock boys can come to the ladies hostel. Even the girls can go to the boys hostel too. Such a freedom is there in IIT Kanpur. Most other IITs, they are not having such a freedom. That can be imposed in IIT Kanpur, IIT Madras, and IIT Bombay. In all the IITs, the students from different cross-section are coming. Why can't we keep? But that such a thing is there. We can't close our eyes towards that. But teachers can do a lot. Teachers can do a lot. We can
yes, definitely
give opportunities for the. Even though I wish for a lady chairman, I'm very sure that they never get a chance. I have got another 6 years.
Your dream will be materialized or cherished.
Hope so.
That's what I hope.
So. Looking forward. Looking forward.
That's correct. Thank you for that notion, because the independency as well as the financial independence is a major concern. I think with the direct benefit transfer scheme, Jan Dhan accounts, and the ownership of the ration card over to women, all these, even the very, very, very small steps can, one or the other way, can push us forward in this direction. I think so. It is what is happening in this country. Okay, elsewhere also, many, many changes are coming up. So with these 2 rounds of discussion, we crossed around 45 minutes of our time. And we were fortunate to listen to 2 industry guys and 2 teachers from professional, especially technical education. So their notions were, there was no overlapping or kind of repetition. That was the beauty of that discussion. Now, rather than making it a radio communication or monotonous, I would like to see some participation from the part of the audience as well. I request anyone of who is interested can just turn on their mic and very short 1 minute maximum kind of an opinion or question to one of the panelists, or a general question which could be thrown to all of us. It can be, entertained now. Anybody, please, if you are interested. Over to
Sir, I fully accept our Dr. Bindu's view of thinking about liberation or whatever call you call, because we have run little late. So we have to catch up. Definitely our doors are open. If you see my SRO, there are 4 directors now, ladies. Especially from Trivandrum Engineering College itself, College of Engineering Trivandrum itself, 2 ladies have become directors. So there is no limit unless we work hard. We have to be sincere. We have to be very, very serious in our professional job. Then definitely sky is the limit. So I thank you for opening.
Thank you. Thank you, Radhakrishnan sir. Even though late, they seem to be very latest. That is the encouraging part of that. Definitely. Anybody else would like to participate and encourage this discussion? I think if you can turn on your mic, that is good. Otherwise, if you have challenges on audio, please type in your questions in the chat box so that we can try to address that, or even your opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh. I have a small comment to make. As a state, Kerala took a lead role in most of these aspects of providing gender equity to women, or a fair share of women in the society. There are several good examples from the governments of Kerala for the past several years that women are given equal legal proprietary on their ancestral properties and so on and so forth. Laws are very unbiased or gender neutral to some extent in Kerala, and several other states in the Indian Union have adapted our
models
for leading role in this aspect. Is one thing which I would like to comment.
Yeah, maybe because of the progress we made in education, I think one reason.
Yeah, I have also noted that now the professional programs like medical, engineering, and law schools, they all contain more boys than the more girls than the boys. There's a kind of population inversion. When I was in undergraduate studies long back, from 32, 35 years back.
Yeah, things have changed. At least in circuit and software branches, the trend is very, very, very clear. Correct.
So there are more professionals, ladies, and they are.
I hope that that
enjoying a
trend
very
will neutralize,
Yeah, thank you.
bring the women up, I think. Thank you, Dr. Ravindra, for that point. It's a true statistics, which is encouraging as well. Anybody else would like to participate? If you have a specific question.
Dr. Rajesh, can I add something to it, which is a positive note? Like,
Very good, very good.
yeah,
Definitely,
yeah. So
Dr.
in
Bindu.
technical education front, becoming the principal of an engineering college is not so much as a baligera mala for any lady, because we already had Nisha Kurivala madam is one example. But we do have a director of technical education now who is a lady vice chancellor in the Kerala Technological University, and the lady minister for higher education now. That in itself shows how far women have come forward. And the pandemic situation is a different thing, because it has forced us to go to a digital platform, more or less, like in a online, where bias has come to a natural end in that case. But women have taken the primary responsibility of taking care of their kids' online classes. Okay, so what happened is that when the lockdown was removed, when it was lifted, and when the schools were not yet started, and the women had to go for employment, for their jobs again, it became a problem. There was a bias, there still is a bias, because women had to take care of the online classes and all those things. Men did not, most men, I cannot say all the men, most men did not take care of that. So women are finding a new challenge in that manner in the pandemic situation.
Yes, that's a true observation, because even the work from home is a challenge for the women. And in France, I think a court has even granted right to disconnect for a woman who was called by her boss after 7 p.m. while she was cooking for her baby child. Okay, all these things are happening around. Right to disconnect was granted at that time. Definitely, it is happy to see that in Kerala, at least in the higher education sector, you have a clean sweep, right? With all the details as women. Anybody else?
Rajesh, can I? Yeah.
Definitely, you are our leader, right?
No, this is just an observation.
Correct.
See, we have been talking a lot about the women empowerment, and I think things have changed quite a lot. If you look at the last decade, you can see the girls. I should not say that this is a gendered remark. If you say, our girls have really become smart, and we are changing. The confidence level has changed. That is what I really mean. Don't you think there has time has come for the men empowerment also? Why? Because our boys are still thinking that they will get the same thing as their dad is having. They can enjoy the same thing. Whereas, do you expect the other way around? This is just a remark.
You are so passionate.
Good question, Mini.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Jyoti, what is your response to that? It's really little twisting the track very positively. Very good. We have to be.
This is a
Actually,
social problem. Okay, this is
Correct,
a
correct.
social issue.
Exactly. Thank you, Dr. Mini, for getting that point as well, bringing here. Jyoti, what is your response? I think you want to say something.
What Mini said is very correct, because I know my daughter will not behave the way I behave. And her husband better be careful.
Exactly.
And as her parents, we are careful than my parents were. So I think the society has to learn to take the women in the way they are growing, in the way they are getting empowered.
The point is, it is not a one-sided kind of overdosed feminism or something like that is going to help us. It is definitely hand holding and working together, which should be the way out. Meera, what is your kind of response to these inputs that we got? Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, about feminism, I think I have a different remark there, because it's been men have been ruling, and that's why that feminism had to come exist, right? So that is why we had to be feminist. So I think like Dr. Bindu was saying about like, no, I think Dr. Nisha was saying about we didn't have we have never had a lady chairman, or similarly we have like there are many. I think that is the data also says that. I think when it comes to working professionals, like if you take the example of I think this is a data from the UN itself. If you take the data from the healthcare sector, 70% of healthcare workers are women. But when it comes to healthcare managers, it's less than 30%.
Correct.
So everywhere it is like that. When it comes to like we are saying that women are there are more girls coming to engineering, STEM education, everything. But then when it comes to employment and when it comes to climbing the higher ladders of top senior management and top positions, the percentage of women or the number of women, that glass ceiling is there. We're trying to break it, but it's still there. So if you look at the CXO positions, I think less than 10% globally. I'm talking about global figures, which I got from the world, the Global Gender Gap report.
Gender Gap report.
So globally, it's less than 10%. Women, 10% of women, only 10% are women. If you look at the global CXO
in the leadership positions, especially.
Similarly, if we look at global leaders, political leaders, it's 1 in 16 that is women. So it's the numbers are very less there also. So when we talk about so all we have to consider all these, and then I think when it comes to responsibilities of closing this gender gap, I think it's not only women's. It's a very collective responsibility of the individual women and the families, the society, the organizations and the institutions, and the governments. So there has to be an ecosystem that, because women have been, I think, as I said earlier, there is this patriarchal system, and there is a reason for that. There are some reasons, because of some reasons it has become like that. And also women are doing a lot of unpaid work. So the society is expecting that women will be doing all the household domestic work and also all the care work, not only for the children, kids, but also for the elderly care also is a very important thing that women are doing. So there has to be an ecosystem which supports women in taking care of all these, I think, or offloading these jobs, and so that women can enter more paid work.
But definitely there are good signs of change. I think a new framework, starting from family to workplace to society, a new framework with the new shades and positive energy will definitely come up. I think this discussion and the points that we have just looked into will definitely empower this thought process, and I hope that with these 4 panelists from different domains have definitely gave a shape to the Women's Day celebrations in Kerala. I think this is one of the organizations that conducted such a discussion. So Nisha, Dr. Nisha, do you want to add a final kind of comment, because all of this have got a chance? I think we are running out of our time, and if you have 1 minute of a comment, I think with that we will be trying to close the discussion. So we can continue discussion, and we can continue working towards materializing the points that we have summed up. Dr. Nisha.
I'm looking forward for a day where the number of the participants in this roster is equal. Right now, share of the male participants and female participants, if you look down to this particular roster, it's uneven. It's not equal. And this, whatever be the injustice through which we are going through, is created by us. So as a teacher, I think that I should encourage my girls to find time to hear the debates, to find time to read the newspaper, to find time to watch the TV, not only in the unpaid work, what the Mira ma'am told, unpaid work should equally divided among the male counterparts.
Thank you, Dr. Nisha. Definitely, we will support you by start learning cooking. so that this time is saved. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful an experience. Even though I have participated in many discussions like this, this was a rare experience with 4 women leaders in Kerala to have a very fruitful kind of a Women's Day celebration. Thank you very much, Dr. Bindu, Dr. Nisha, Jyoti Ramaswamy, and Meera for accepting the invitation from the professional bodies in participating in this. Thank you very much for all the organizers, especially Professor Ravindranath and Dr. Mini, and all the participants today to make this discussion very energy filled as well as fruitful. With these words, I would like to conclude the panel discussion, and would now the control is over to the audience. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
The discussion was really informative, at the same time very inspiring too. Now I call upon Neha for the vote of thanks.
A warm good evening to one and all. Today, it's my great privilege to give the vote of thanks on a 100th edition of webinar series themed on IEEE International Women's Day. Moving on to my assigned duty, firstly, I thank all the guests of honors of today's session. Respected Dr. Mini Ulanath, Chairperson IEEE Kerala Section, Systems Manager Kuzak, for delivering the inaugural address. Thank you, ma'am. Next, I'd like to thank respected Dr. M.V. Rajesh, Chair IEEE's SPS Chapter, Professor C. Chenganur, for acting as the moderator for the panel discussion. Thank you, sir. I'd like to thank respected Dr. Bindu Jiyar, IEEE Senior Member, Professor in IEEE CET, for being the panelist from academia. Thank you, ma'am. Next, I would like to thank respected Dr. Nisha Kurvila, IEEE Senior Member, Principal CE, Kalupara, for being the panelist from academia. Thank you, ma'am. I also thank respected Ms. Meera Siddharthan, Member ACM and ex-consultant TCS, for being the panelist from the industry. Thank you, ma'am. I also thank respected Ms. Jyoti Ramaswamy, IEEE Senior Member, Cybersecurity Manager at TCS India, for being the panelist from industry. Thank you, ma'am. I'd also like to thank respected Dr. K.C. Ravindranathan Sir, Chair of IEEE Hindu Society Activities Committee, for successfully organizing the 100th webinar. Thank you, sir. Last but not least, I thank all the volunteers and participants of our today's session, without whom this event would have never been a success. Once again, I thank each and everyone for being a part of the 100th edition of webinar series. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the end of our 100th weekly webinar series. Hope to see everyone on next Wednesday on our next talk. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ravindranath sir. And thank you all. It was
Thank
a
you
pleasure.
all.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night. Meera, I think you are, classmate of Mabel and Lakshmi.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are working, my
Batchmate,
colleagues
yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, classmate. Yeah, first year classmates.
Yeah. Okay. And I am, Kiran Jia?
Yeah, I know, Kiran.
He is my brother.
Okay. That's nice to know.
Okay. And so glad that we could meet at least in a digital platform. Ravindranath sir, so thankful to you. But for you, I would
Thank
not
you.
have
Thank you. Good night.
come
Good
here
night.
as
Good
a
luck.
panel
Thank you.
member.
Thank you
This
for
is totally
participating.
new for me. I am just an academician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Thank
problem. We will invite you again.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Good night. Bye. Good luck.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you and good night.